Shamps and giggles. History, news, views, and reviews from a black perspective. Shamps and giggles back for 2024. Oh my lord.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Shamps and Giggles Talk the Tings. DJ Smiley in the house. So this evening, welcome to everybody. Radio listeners, hold tight. This evening, we are 100% talking the Tings on a phenomenal lady that's been through a very, very traumatic and emotional 5 years. I believe it's 5 years. And she has just won her court case. So let me let you know who this lady is that we're going to be discussing this evening. Ella Janneh. And I'm hoping that you guys remember we spoke about Ella about 2 to 3 weeks ago. And some of our members in Shamps and Giggles actually went to the court to support her at the High Court. Ella, she took a civil rape case, actually. Let's get it right. She gave 8 years, thank you. She took out a civil rape case against a therapist that she went for treatment. And this therapist was Michael Lousada, who's 57, and he has a therapist clinic based in Belsize Park in London, which is northwest of London, Belsize Park. And she went there. And when I say went there, and I'm saying 8 years, this is since 2016. And she decided to take it further because the police themselves didn't take up the case, which she reported to them. Yeah, she reported to the Metropolitan Police the day after she got violated by the therapist, Michael Lousada. Okay, so she takes it to the police the day after this incident happened to her. And within probably weeks, they looked into it. They said there's nothing to answer. They can't find any wrongdoing or a case to answer for. So they closed it. So Ella decided she's not having it. And she fought personally for 8 years. Okay. And and the thing is that with Ella, yeah, I'm seeing that she took it, although she took it to a civil court, she had the help of the Women's Justice. Okay, so they helped her bring this case to the forefront and in front of a judge in my reckoning, because the judge is the one that sentences and passes judgment on what he's going to do. So with Ella taking this distressing rape case, because listen, I want to talk about her win, but I'm just going to go back just in case some of you guys didn't realize what happened to her. Ella, she went to a therapist for help because she had a traumatic incident that happened to her personally. And she went to a therapist for help. But the therapist, and I'm hoping that some of my listeners and the members here will guide me in what the therapist's name is, because there's a specific name that this therapist goes under, his profession. Okay. But the therapist that she went for therapy, he decided that because she was there for a rape or an assault that happened to her. Okay. And yeah, he was a sex therapist, if you want to call it that. He was a sex therapist. So she goes to him for therapy because she had a sexual incident that happened to her, and she was traumatized by this incident that happened to her previously. So she enlisted the help of a sex therapist that's supposed to be guiding her through to overcome this issue. However, the therapist decides to take it the next step. Because he's a sex therapist, he believed that his way is the only way and the best way to overcome the issues that she had. Okay. So Michael Lousada, as I mentioned, he decided that he would, in his way, is to take his penis out and guide it in her and put it in her to say, and I say put it in her, penetrate. That's probably the best way I can say. He penetrated her, saying the words that his penis is like a laser beam, okay, that could burn out or burn up the trauma that she was going through. Can you imagine that? You just sit back and imagine you go to a therapist for help, regardless what therapist he is. He's a sex therapist, and he violates by taking out his penis and penetrates you, and then's got a cheek, or he believes that his terminology and the way he's telling you is fact, that his penis is like a laser beam that will burn out your trauma. And you've just gone through that trauma of a rape before. I'm going to pause there. Pinky, your hand is up.
Yeah, it's just to sort of like make it clear that it was also about the rape as well as the negligence of,
I know. I didn't get to that part yet, but yeah, I do understand. You carry on though.
yeah, so, and she was struggling for 8 years, but it's important to remember that it was the Women's for Justice, the centre, Women's Centre for Justice, that actually took on the case. Had they not taken on the case and provided the actual support with the solicitors, her legal team, during the case, they basically, she would not have stand a chance of actually winning anything. And also the fact that the sisters, I have to say the sisters, which are people like uh, Ongunzi for Sister Space, Claudia Jones, the organization in Hackney, Kirsten Wellington, Soul Purpose 360, and also Mr. Justice Baker, the judge himself, that really saw through the whole elements of this case. So yes, I would have to say that even though the CWJ, which is the Centre for Women for Justice, took on the case, legal team being Katrina Rubin, and also not to mention, I forgot to actually say the Nubians for Navigation Counselling Service, with all these melanated sisters that was present, and even Champs and Giggles for the 2 days that we went up there. Our presence did a lot within that court case with Mr. Justice Baker, who presided over the hearing itself. So I have to say that, you know, while we think that, yes, it's a great win for Ella, given the evidence that went on during the trial, you know, and calling on the CP, but that's what we need to do now, is to really construct letters and press for the CP to consider their original decision on not to prosecute. While she won a great civil victory, we must also remember it should not and never be seen, as it is said, as a substitute for a criminal prosecution because of the huge risk and burden it places upon the victim and the claimant. We also at Champs and Giggles, likewise many other women and the CWJ, are greatly concerned that this therapist's work was not subjected to any regulations in the UK. So we call on the new government, once elected, to consider passing legislation to prevent such such an incident like this to ever happen again. Because while there is this great win for Ella, there's also therapists and Mike Lousada, who are able to still practice and not regulated. It's not a regulated thing in this country, which was a great shock to all of us who, as therapists ourselves, that went up to the High Justice Court and to sit there and to listen to what this man calls as a technique. There was nobody regulating. And him himself, as a co-founder of certain rules and regulations, was not even affiliating to them. I think Onset can even give you a bit more about that. But for me, there is this, there's a win, and we're really grateful, and I personally thank Mr. Justice Jeremy Baker. I have to keep pronouncing his name because, when we were all inside that courtroom that day, and particularly when we heard there's a part of the case that is so gruesome, where he never used no Durex, and he spat in his hand for lubrication. Okay, this is the disgustingness of this man. So if this is a technique, where is the protection against any other person? Because he's used this technique 30 to 40 times. So that means then you've used this on 30 to 40 women where you've never used a Durex, okay? And you spit in your hands for lubrication. I mean, even for a sex therapist, the technique for me has been breached on many grounds, because that's like you're just a legal rapist, really, because which is why, it's been proven that that this was rape. This was not a therapy session in no fashion or form. Ella herself was unable to respond to this because this was part of what her main issue was. She could not give consent even in a normal relationship that she would have with somebody that she knows, let alone somebody that she didn't know. So when you have a panic attack, some people, where a panic attack happens, they're totally frozen. They can't say a word, they can't respond, they can't do nothing. So this is the case, because I know a lot of people will find it really difficult to get their mind around it. But understanding more about the background, which we had the opportunity as Champs and Giggles to be up there, thanks to Leisha and Sister Space and the people that actually put it out there to come and show support on that day. And this is what I want to say, is that, when we get together and show support for each other, it is so important, because we are better in numbers than we are as a singular person, or two or three. So I want to say congratulations to all those women that were at the High Justice Court and that were there for the 9 days, because we really impacted, and we got a result, not only for Ella, but also where we can get some form of regulation now going within to prevent any other woman. And saying this at the same time, because we're live, and to our viewers, we need more men, we need more women, Black women within the community to come forward, to do life coaching. Evolve College is a very good one, to come forward and put yourself forward, because we're very underrepresented in the field. And this is also affects also mental health. Right about now, we're the highest group for mental health issues. And it's so important that when we come together and we link together from different organizations, it's not about who's done this or it's about us linking together to support one another. That's what
All right, well, thanks very much on that. So I just want to make sure that we get the right gentleman's name. It's Michael Lousada, yeah?
Yes,
and
Michael
he's
Lousada.
Lousada, yeah, 57.
And the judge, don't forget his name.
Yeah, okay.
It's Justice Jeremy Baker.
All right, well, thank you very much, Pinky, for that information there. Very important. Osset, go ahead.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Yes, Pinky, absolutely agree with you on everything you've said. I just wanted to talk about. I thought when you introduced the topic,
Mhm.
DJ Smiley, that you were under the impression that this man was actually performing therapy on this woman. No, he raped her, pure
Mhm.
and simple. Um, but because the CPS and the police
Mhm.
decided that it wasn't worth investigating,
Yes.
because I mean, she had to take it upon herself to actually get some kind of justice.
Yes.
He wasn't, so he was tried. I was looking at the Lee Day website because those were
Mhm.
the solicitors that actually represented her,
Okay.
and they said that the technical term that Jeremy Baker ruled on is civil claim is to trespass to the person. It wasn't. She couldn't actually charge him with rape because that would be the CPS and the police. So because she's
Okay.
gone to the
Civil.
on the civil route,
Yes.
yeah, it's trespass to the person, and he
Mhm.
believed that she was raped. So what CPS had said was they didn't believe they could prove a case
Mhm.
against him beyond reasonable doubt that he had raped her, although
Okay.
they had the evidence that Pinky has just been relating that he spat on his hand and there was no professional procedure to the
Mhm.
so-called therapy. Although
Mhm.
the CPS and the police heard all this evidence, they still didn't think it was worth pursuing as a case. So,
Right.
I mean, it's, she spent 8 years
Mhm.
fighting this case. And like Pinky said, she now, yes, she's been awarded £217,000 in
Mhm.
damages,
Yeah.
with further damages to be decided, apparently.
Yeah.
I hope she gets all of that. I hope the
Yes.
lawyers are going to be paid or handled by something else. I hope she doesn't have to use some of that money for the
Oh, to
lawyers.
pay them. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes. But because so the CPS now really has to prosecute this man for rape. He's a criminal. And he lives in Germany now. He's completely, he's left Britain and he's set up practice in Germany.
Mm.
So it'll be, like Pinky was saying, we really do have to get together and make sure that this man is prosecuted for rape.
Mhm. Very true. Um, and there is, well, I'd say there's a slight issue. Well, is that the CPS, well, not CPS, let's go back a step. The 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 Metropolitan Police at this moment in time haven't received any complaint yet. They know of the old case that the CPS closed the doors on it and said that they couldn't find or do anything about it at that particular time. But they do know of this case now, and they know of the findings. So what they said is that they're hoping that, as you said, that her lawyers, who took the case on for her, will approach the Metropolitan Police again, and they will look into what happened again and see if it does warrant it being going to the civil courts. So yeah, I'll stop there because I've got more to say, but I can see Osset's got a hand up. Go ahead, Osset.
I mean, I think the police for them, the police statement was really quite ridiculous. Now that the judge has told them that
Mm,
this woman was telling the truth, she
mm.
was raped, they have to, they shouldn't be, waiting for any lawyers to come and approach them. It really is their job to open a case against this man.
Yeah,
Pure and simple.
I understand that, but according to this Commander Kevin Southworth, who leads on the public protection, he did say we strive to deliver the best service we can, and we take allegation of rape and sexual assault very seriously. So it's concerning whenever we hear of something like this, and we feel let down. But he stated, we have not yet received any complaints about this investigation, but we would welcome a chance to discuss this further so we can understand and address any concerns. And that's how it's left. And bearing in mind that Ella Janneh, she lives in Australia now still, And this gentleman, as you said, I said rightly so, he's now moved to Germany. But the Metropolitan Police are saying that they have nothing, so they can't act on it without someone going to them and letting the cards out on the table. Pinky. Thank you,
Yeah, I find that one a bit sort of like, up in the air of their comment, that has been made there, because kind of contradicts what the Met Commissioner, himself says, that violence against women should be treated like terrorism. So, and I got this off of Afro Rose's page, who is a very advert supporter of women who have been sexually abused. You know, I really find it so hard to, and this is the thing about women, and particularly Black women, and our voices, and particularly on rape cases. It does seem to be always kicked underneath the carpet, coming forward to the police. There's this, not this kind of like belief kind of thing, because I can't understand or see how they possibly didn't actually, the Crown prosecution did not take this on as a case in the first place. So there was a complaint already. So now that the findings have been open, and the case is open for everybody to know and the public to know of, his conduct and his so-called therapy that he calls a therapy, something that you call that is a therapy. Like myself, as a therapist, or even as a beauty therapist, I have to take precautions. There's all types of precautions, particularly one is health and safety. And that's health and safety of somebody's health. That's making sure I don't cause cross-contamination. These are things that are quite serious. This is a man that said he's carried it out, and I have to keep saying 30 to 40 times he's used this technique. So, that makes me think, well, how many people, those people that you say that you've used that technique on, did they pick up anything?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. You're breaking up a bit on this. It's me. Can I go to Miss Leisha?
Yes.
Go ahead. Thank you. Miss Leisha?
I'm reading the Guardian newspaper online, which has had a release just around an hour ago. And I'm reading through it, and it says here that the Met Command's Kevin Southworth, who leads public protection, said we strive to deliver the best service we can and take allegations of rape and sexual assault seriously. So it's concerning whether we hear that someone feels that they've been let down. While there is currently no active police investigation in light of the outcome of the civil proceedings, we are reviewing the information we hold, and we'll also consider any new detail that has emerged during a civil case. Officers will be meeting with Ms. Janneh to discuss the concerns she has raised, to establish whether she has any new and relevant information that should be considered, and to see how we can support her.
That's good. Well done. That's nice.
So there is there is movement there. So from the outcome of a civil case and win, the police are now going, okay, we can reopen up this case now. And if you could present with us any new evidence from the last evidence that you provided, how many years ago was it? Did somebody say 8 years?
2016, yeah, 8 years.
Years ago, yeah.
Yeah. All right, well, thank you very much for that. You probably have more to say in a minute. Osset, go ahead.
I was just going to say, as it should be, as I said, the judge has found that she was telling the truth. Therefore, the police ought to now open the case and do their job. So I'm really glad to hear that. Thank you, Ms. Leisha, for that information. And they really ought to be apologizing profusely, and so should CPS. CPS is really quite disgraceful. The types of cases that CPS actually takes to court and wins are ludicrous. You'd be shocked to actually even hear of some of them. And then they won't. I mean, a woman goes, after he raped her, she went to a sexual assault center to seek help. The same day, immediately after that, or soon after that. And then the next day, she went to the police. And 18 months later, they decide, oh no, there's no case. I mean, what is that? What were they doing for 18 months?
Yeah. It just shows you that I don't know what they were thinking of. Maybe they thought, oh well, she can't prove it. If he did, there was nothing untoward. He didn't ejaculate. Maybe.
How can they not think it's therapy to spit onto your hand, stick your fingers into your client's vagina, and then stick your penis into her? First of all, he told her to regress into. So she was raped as a child. 7 years old, I think, is when she was raped. So that's why she had these panic attacks when she was having consensual sex.
Yes.
So what he said to her was, regress into your childhood self at the time that you had this attack on you. And she did. And that's when he spits on his fingers, sticks them into her vagina, and rapes her. What kind of policeman or crown prosecutor would not think that is rape? How can a man think that a jury or a judge would consider that as therapy?
Yeah, I understand that, but could it be that they would think that who is her word against his if she's saying that she didn't give consent? Could the CPS be thinking, well, she's saying he raped her, she didn't give consent, he's saying she gave consent, and that's how, and in his documentation or whatever it is, he's a sex therapist, and that's what he does, because he openly said in his statement to the judge, and also audibly, and also on these documentation, and some of us have quoted it, he's saying that he's carried out the similar and the same type of sexual healing or therapy to 30 to 40 other women, and none of them have complained.
Like Pinky said, DJ Smiley,
Yes.
When you're a professional therapist, there are certain procedures you've got to go through with your client. The police know that. The crown prosecutors are lawyers. They know that too. So yes, just because there is no regulation or some code, because that's what's missing for tantric sex therapists, that there's no code of government legislation that governs how they are meant to carry out their therapy. And that's how he's been able to get away with raping 30 to 40 women.
Okay, so what I'm going to say, before you finish, you're going to say the last words before we go to the commercial break, and then we're going to come back to Pinky. Can I just go back one step before we go to break? What did you just mentioned his sexual therapy's name? What was that? What did you call it?
Tantric sexologist.
Tantric sexologist. Okay,
but he came up with okay after the break.
Yes, is that all right? Because so Offset, please remember what you're going to tell me next, and then Pinky will be after, because I think it's valid and it's very important. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll stop recording and so on. All right, take care. See you in a minute. Don't move and don't go nowhere.